My main role as an adapter is you take something that's already been written and you transport it into another form. So like if you get the rights to a book and then you're hired to write it as a stage play. So it's taking like the original story and making it work as a theatre piece. I don't think you need much skills to be a writer or be an adapter or anything. I think you've just got to have a love of storytelling. You love being told stories, you love telling stories, and you find people fascinating, things that people do and say. You as a writer, you're kind of like you hear all these stories, you bottle them up, and then you use them to tell any story that you like. I think that's all you need, just a good imagination. Steps you take is obviously you read the source material, and as much as possible, get an understanding of it, and then you just kind of get to work. It's an understanding that you're not going to get it right the first time, so you have to, there's a lot of stages you have to take in terms of adapting it. But I said ultimately it's just understanding what the heart of the story is. Yeah, that I would say that is your guide. If you just hang on to that, obviously you have to make changes because you're writing a play, not a book, and prose is very long and can and so on. The theatre, I would argue, is probably more quick. It's it's all the dialogue, exchanges and so on. So, but like I said, it's just getting to the meat of the story that you found in the book. And just understanding that and then honouring that, and everything else you work around the rest. I got into writing all from a very early age. English was the only lesson I had time for when I was at school. I was just one of those kids, I just had a vivid imagination. I was a daydreamer, and I loved being told stories. And I loved telling stories. Really, it came from that really, and it's the only thing I've really enjoyed doing. And I kind of thought, well, okay, we enjoy it so much, why not just do it for a living? See if that works, and thankfully it has worked. I think it's when the two stories merge. You've got Shona's story in the present day, and then you've got the original story of Oliver Twist. And for a while, Shona's story kind of goes on its own, but there are key moments in the play where she finds her life merging with the life, not just of Oliver Twist, but also just Victorian London, and what it was like for young children of that age, how they were used and exploited. I think Charles Dickens was probably one of the first writers to highlight that concern, and he was also the one who kind of he wrote it in his books there, the way the children, not just the children, but the way the working class spoke. He heard that, copied that, and put it in his book. I think he was one of the first authors to have done that. So it's moments like that I loved in the book, and those are the ones I had the most fun adapting. Ooh. The hardest part is kind of also the fun part. Is just it's taking it on, the responsibility, because it's such a great book written by the legend that is Michael Rosen. So even though that's the fun part, but it's also kind of the scary part. You don't want to muck it up. You want to honour what he's written, and and it's hard work. It's hard work, just getting up in the morning, motivating yourself to kind of sort of say, okay, I need to get to this bit. I need to do that bit. So it's kind of there's a flip side of the coin of how much you enjoy it, because it's also the same reasons why you hate it. The first moment was when, because it was a surprise, even though I kind of knew what the book was about, it was a delightful surprise when I turned the page and then boom, you're in the world of Oliver Twist. And it's a story I know quite well. Well, I thought I did actually, I thought I knew it. I mean, I based a lot of my knowledge from what I remember reading it when I was a kid, but mostly from the musical, Oliver. But it's quite amazing just how much there is still left in the book that hasn't been, that I didn't know was there. And he's captured that. And it was just a nice place, just turning the page and then, okay, we're in Victoria, London now. And how which I think he's done very cleverly, is how the characters in Oliver Twist mirror the characters in modern day. Like Shona obviously mirrors Oliver Twist, and there's several other characters that do the same thing. I thought that was quite clever. I think I was true in terms of its heart. I would like to think I'm quite true to it. There are other decisions I had to make, and I mean, I try not to depart too much from the original source, because I think Michael Rosen's book does a lot of the work for me. But I had to kind of make it own in the stage wise. There was an opportunity for me as well, for me to I don't know, to say what I want to say about ways, the way we live now, particularly the character of Shona, her relationship with her father. And I just thought, even when I read it, I just thought, my word, that's saying a lot about what we're talking about right now, i.e. the cost of living, the poverty, food banks in 21st century England. What's that about? And I just thought there was some really interesting metaphors between that and Michael's book and Charles Dickens' book. So I just kind of thought, well then, if I may, I like to kind of carry that forward. I think Michael Rosen carried it forward from Dickens, and I just felt, maybe I can, get the opportunity to kind of move it forward from Mr. Rosen, and all of us at the end of the day are honouring the original story. I would argue. Well, at least I would hope so. How do I work with a director? It's very intense, very good. Because more often than not, the writer doesn't meet the director until a later point in the process. With this, it was from the get-go. It was James, who I knew straight away was going to direct it. I've worked with him before. We have a relationship, so that was kind of that was relatively easier to do it, and it's good because I think what makes our relationship work is we're both on the same page. We both have very similar reasons as to why we want to tell this story, and what it meant to us. It's got to mean something to both of them, to the writer and the director. Otherwise, what's the point of working together? I think what drew it to me because of the original source material, which was Oliver Twist, written by Charles Dickens, and he was a writer I greatly admired. So I still admire his work. I read a lot of his stuff when I was a kid, and I was particularly drawn to the story of Oliver Twist, in terms of what he was saying and what basically what he saw in those times, when he saw the exploitation of children and just said, right, I need to do something about this. I want to write a story about this. And I would argue he's probably one of the first writers who did that. So that's what drew me to that, and the parallels between how children are viewed and treated back then to how they are now. And yes, while there are significant differences, but at the heart, there's still some things that are still similar and still questionable and not right. I hope they react to it warmly. I don't think we're talking down to them. I think we're addressing them on a certain level, and we're doing it in a style that we hope they will relate to and understand and go along with. I would say first and foremost is always write what's in your heart and not what's in your head. Because I think that's where the best writing comes from, when it comes from something that means something to you and stirs a certain emotion in you. So yeah, write what's in your heart, not what's in your head. The second one is don't get it right, get it written. And what I mean by that is when you first sit down to write, just write it. That's the duty of a first draft of anything, is to just get it out of your head and onto paper. And then it's all about rewriting afterwards. I've been to Blackpool, and it's a town I've always enjoyed coming to. People are friendly, warm, and this play I think is going to sort of talk to them at their level. It deals with serious issues, but it's got life to it, and I think Blackpool is definitely a town that's got a lot of life. So it's going to be interesting how they kind of pair up. So I'm looking for, that on the tour, that's one I'm definitely going to come over for weekends. I'm looking forward to that one for Blackpool. Your creative challenges, I would say, is write a short piece, can have as many characters as you want. I would say keep it maybe 2 or 3, and decide how long it's gonna be for. Say like it's a 10-minute scene or a 20-minute scene. But the key is the characters that you write never leave the room. They're talking to each other, so you've got to keep up the tempo, keep up the tempo, whatever it is, that wherever they are, how old they are, wherever they are, put them in a location, keep them in there. No one can leave that location until you finish your scene.